Okay, it's Tuesday, August 24th at 7:30, and I'd like to call the City of Twinsburg regular council meeting to order. Shannon, would you call the roll?
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Mrs. Labby?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here. Okay, next we will have the Invocation and Pledge. The invocation will be led by Mrs. Walker, and the pledge will be led by Chief Noga. Please rise.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussions, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect all of our residents and businesses and our dedicated city employees. Bless those away from us serving to protect our country. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Okay, next we have the approval of the regular council meeting minutes from July 13th. Has everybody looked at them, and does anybody have any questions or changes? If not, I need a motion to approve.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes as submitted.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Stauffer seconds. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
I'll abstain. I wasn't at that meeting, but.
Okay, thank you. Please call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Abstain.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay, next that minutes pass 7-6.
Six.
Next we have a awards and presentations. We have a resolution tonight for our Chief Noga, and Shannon, are you going to read that?
I'm going to read the heading.
You're going to read the
and
heading, and the mayor's going to.
The mayor's going to.
Okay, very good.
A resolution offering congratulations to Chief Christopher Noga on the occasion of his retirement and expressing appreciation for his years of dedicated service as the Chief of the Twinsburg Police Department.
Chief, you want to come up?
Sure. You guys there now?
Well, first, I'd like to bring up Lizzie Carr from the Ohio Attorney General's office. She's got a presentation before we do ours.
Good evening. As he stated, my name is Lizzie Carr. I'm here on behalf of the Ohio Attorney General, Dave Yost. I've had the pleasure of getting to know the chief for some time now, probably about half a dozen years, I'd say. Prior to the Attorney General being the Attorney General, he was the state auditor, and so I would come up here often to provide awards to the finance director and even I think the library and possibly the school district, because this is a wonderful community. And while doing so, I would have the opportunity to stop in and get to know the chief, and I learned so much from you over the years. I was actually telling my colleagues yesterday that it would be a little difficult presenting this proclamation this evening. This is someone that I see as a leader amongst leaders. I get to work with police chiefs every day, and it's so humbling, and they are heroes, and all of you officers, it's such a humbling experience. And as I mentioned, the chief here is really just in a league of his own, and I just can't thank you for all of the thoughtful conversations we've had, really just the guidance, the advisement, the education on law enforcement. It really helps us to do better for law enforcement from our office and to support what it is that officers do every day. So thank you so much for that. And with that, I will read the proclamation. And usually I just do the juicy parts, but this is your big moment. So whereas local law enforcement is vital to preserving the quality of life, security, and prosperity of a community, and whereas Chief Christopher Noga began his law enforcement career while earning his undergraduate degree from Baldwin Wallace College, working first as a dispatcher and then a patrol officer and sergeant for the college's department, of Safety and Security, and upon completion of his bachelor's degree in 1995, accepted a position with the Cleveland State Police Department. Whereas, in March 1997, Chief Noga joined the Twinsburg Police Department, serving as patrol officer, field training officer, explorer post advisor, neighborhood watch advisor, and bicycle patrol officer, and in November 2001 was promoted to sergeant and patrol supervisor until December 2003, when he was tapped to serve as the Detective Bureau Commander and lead public information officer. And whereas Chief Noga was appointed Twinsburg's 6th Chief of Police on January 10th, 2006. And whereas Chief Noga resides in Twinsburg with his wife and 2 beautiful children, and is involved in numerous community activities, including scouting and the Twinsburg Nordonia American Cancer Society Relief for Life. Therefore, as Attorney General of the State of Ohio, it is my honor to recognize and congratulate Chief Christopher Noga on his outstanding career in public service and his retirement. Thank you for your service, sir. Truly.
All right, thank you. It's an honor for me to be here to present Chief his resolution tonight and just congratulate him on his retirement. When I started as mayor, I inherited a bunch of department heads. I was very proud of those department heads, and I knew I could work with all of them. And Chief has just been one of those that has always given me insight on his department, has always come at times when I needed to talk about things that are going on in our community, things that are going on in his department, but I'm just really honored to be here today, and I couldn't have done my job without you over the last 5 or 6 years. So I know you're excited about this time. I know I speak on behalf of myself and council. I'm sure they're going to have comments on our resolution, but I'm just really happy for you, and I know you're excited about this next stage of your life. So I'm proud to be a friend and to know you all this time. So I'm going to read the resolution. Whereas Christopher Noga has announced his retirement as Chief of the Twinsburg Police Department effective September 3rd, 2021. And whereas Chief Noga began his career with the Twinsburg Police Department in 1997 when he was hired as a patrol officer. And whereas for nearly 25 years, Chris Noga has served the city of Twinsburg in a number of capacities, including patrol officer, sergeant, detective, OPATA commander, and instructor, and ultimately the chief of police for the last 15 and a half years. And whereas during his leadership of the department, Chief Noga dedicated himself to expanding the training and educational opportunities for his team of officers with an emphasis on community policing, education, expanding the Detective Bureau, maintaining a commitment to the school resource officers, all while emphasizing professionalism. And whereas Chief Noga navigated the police department and city through its darkest hours in the aftermath of the tragic loss of Officer Josh McTerrian in the line of duty in 2008, and will forever be eager to share stories about the man behind badge number 45. And whereas Chief Noga and his wife Beth fully dedicated themselves to the city by not only becoming residents and raising their children, Jennifer and Michael, in Twinsburg, but also volunteering his time to the Boy Scouts and sharing his love of music through his band, The Focus Group. And whereas Chief Noga was the youngest and longest serving police chief in the city of Twinsburg during the last 50 years, and whereas Chief Noga's professionalism, compassion, high moral character, and good nature will be greatly missed on a daily basis by his fellow officers and his co-workers at City Hall. Now therefore, be it resolved, on behalf of Chief Noga's friends and co-workers, past and present public servants with whom he has served, and particularly on behalf of the residents of the city of Twinsburg, the mayor and council hereby express their official appreciation and gratitude to Christopher J. Noga for his nearly 25 years of dedicated service to the Twinsburg Police Department. It is hereby declared that his contribution to the city of Twinsburg shall be remembered with distinction and honor.
I'm going to need a few moments. I hate having my back to you and back to them, so we'll just try to figure this out how we go. Before I start, the first thing I want to do is get well wishes to Don Prange, who was the department's second chief of police. He had a heart attack this past June, and he's recovering in Palo Alto, California with his daughter. I talked to Don yesterday. He called me to wish me congratulations, and it's really kind of a cool thing to hear from a guy who was the chief of police when I was like 12. So good luck to him, and our thoughts are with him. Second of all, there's some photos I wanted to share, just a few, and Mark has graciously agreed to put a couple of them up here for me. This is the day I was ceremonially sworn in by Jim Karaback, Mayor Jim Karaback, back in 1997. Man, I was young and my hair was a different color, and boy, I was so happy to be here, smiling on my face. A little story about that night. Josh and I were both supposed to be ceremonially sworn in that night. Josh forgot, and he was at home doing his laundry. So I had to be sworn in all by myself. But so that was me. Now the next picture, a little bit farther down the road. Here we go. That was my first official chief of police headshot for the department. Hair's getting a little bit lighter, but I still got that smile on my face, and boy, I was so happy to accept the position as chief of police. And then there's the next one. Yeah, the hair's a little grayer, and I look a little more stoic there, and yeah, you can see the gray in my mustache. And now you look at me now, and this was from 2015, so a lot of changes since then. The question I'm most often asked since I announced my retirement is why now? And it's a good question. I still love my job. I still desire to better my profession, especially during these most challenging times. I definitely enjoy being a servant leader. So why now? I originally planned to retire next March after serving the city for a full 25 years. However, we've experienced a number of retirements from our leadership staff in the police department in the past couple of years. As I envisioned the direction in which the department could go with the new command staff, and as I planned for the promotional processes, I realized that this is a rare opportunity to build. This rare opportunity to build a new command staff could be something more. When I was promoted to chief of police in 2006, I inherited a leadership team promoted mostly by my predecessor. Now, this was a huge challenge for me, as I knew we needed to change our culture in the police department so we could effectively serve our growing community. Change is hard, and leading change with those who are resistant to change is almost insurmountable. It took me until 2014 to have many of the people I needed in place to help change our culture. 8 years is a long time to wait to begin to really realize your vision. So as I contemplated a new command staff, I came to the realization that I had arrived at a crossroads. I could stay until March 22 as I planned, manage the promotion process, and then turn the ship over to a new chief. Or I could retire in September and give a new chief an opportunity I never had, the opportunity to pick his own leadership team from the beginning of his term. You may be surprised to learn that my decision to retire in September was a no-brainer. It made sense for the department, and it makes sense for me. I have had an exceptional run. I did not come to Twinsburg with the intention of becoming chief of police. I came here because the department had a great reputation for hiring the best, providing its officers with the best equipment and training, and for having a solid relationship with the community. I challenge the current members of TPD to continue the mission and make our community safer and our department even better than I did. Never falter from the vision to be the best we can be and to serve as an exceptional example of professional policing to others. I've worn the badge for better of 30 years, with the majority of those years here in Twinsburg, and I could not have reached this point without the love and support of others. And so I want to thank the following people for being part of my professional and personal lives. To my command staff, Lieutenant Tom Mason, Sergeant Tom Austin, Sergeant Craig Bremner, Sergeant Eric Sawyer, Sergeant Bob Waltz, Sergeant Brian Donato, Sergeant Alan Ternosky, and Dispatch Supervisor Christine Yakupovich. Thank you for carrying the load with me. You constantly bring out the best in those you supervise and the best in me. I could not retire with a feeling of accomplishment without the work you do. I look forward to further successes from all of you. I would especially like to thank my executive administrative assistant, Angel Keefe, who, as anyone in the know will tell you, is the one who keeps me focused and on track. She's one heck of a party planner and has done so much for the morale of this department. She's on a well-deserved vacation with her family this week. I am forever grateful that she accepted the offer to be my assistant, because I wouldn't be nearly half as organized as I appear to be without her. Mary Yates, thank you for helping me to get to this point by listening and allowing me to focus on a succession plan these past 2 years. We traditionally do not do this in law enforcement, and succession planning has been one of my goals from day one. I'm grateful you realize that succession planning is absolutely necessary. City Council, thank you for your trust. By working together, we have developed a police department that has one of the best reputations in the state of Ohio. Other departments look to us as the example of best practices. We could not have moved the police department this far forward without you, and without your trust in me. All of my fellow department heads, thank you for your camaraderie over the years. When it comes to problem solving, there's no other group that I would rather work with to solve the problem at hand. I especially want to thank Chris Campbell, who, along with retired Fire Chief Rick Racine, took me under their wings and helped me navigate my first 5 years as department head. They taught me that the police department was not an island by itself, but was a piece of a bigger picture, and that all departments needed to work together in order to accomplish great things for our residents. Plus, Chris and Rick were always eager to pick up the check at our lunches. Thanks to Dave Maestros, who's not only the best prosecutor I've ever worked with, but also the best consultant and confidant that any chief could ever have. As I often tell him, Dave's the big brother I never wanted, but I'm glad I have. We truly have that big brother, little brother relationship, meaning we can get as mad as hell at each other, but we always make up and move on to the next crisis. I will miss my venting sessions with you, but hopefully my retirement will free up more time for you to do law director things instead of having to spend numerous hours figuratively talking me off the ledge. I owe my longevity as chief of police to Kathy Prokop, who was 36 years old and I hadn't been with the department for close to a decade when she chose me as the sixth police chief of the city's history. She was confident that I could run the police department and implement the cultural changes that we needed. In turn, she gave me confidence, especially in those early years when I mostly felt like I was in over my head. Kathy gave me a gift that many chiefs either do not want or do not get: time. Time allows for deeper vision and deeper change. The average lifespan for a police chief is 5 to 6 years, enough time to basically accomplish 1 or 2 things and then retire. Time was my reward, but not my curse. But I often joke that chief years are like dog years. And when you calculate dog years, it's 15 human years equals the first year of a medium-sized dog's life. Year 2 for a dog equals 9 years for a human. And after that, each human year would be approximately 5 years for a dog. I've been chief for over 15 years, so in chief years, I'm really 89 years old if I did the math correctly. So thank you, Kathy, for the gifts of confidence and time, and most importantly, your trust and friendship. I am blessed to say that my parents, John and Pat, who are also Twinsburg residents, got to see me sworn in as a police officer in 1997, as chief of police in 2006, and are able to see me retire. This is totally unheard of, and I'm grateful that they have supported my career choice, especially since they thought they were going to have a son who was going to be a history teacher and not a police officer. I love you both. To my children, Jennifer and Michael, I know it's not easy to be the children of a police officer, especially a chief of police, and especially when you live in the city in which your dad is the chief of police. I hope I was able to insulate both of you from most of the realities of my job, even though I know you two are far too observant for me to bamboozle you. You bring the greatest joy to your mother and I, most days. I love both of you. Last and certainly not least, only one person has consistently ridden shotgun with me during my entire career, and that's my wife of 30 years, Beth. It's no secret that police officers have one of the highest divorce rates among professions, and yet through all of my career ups and downs, Beth has steadfastly stood by my side. She's always there when I need to vent, but she also knows when I just need to sit and zone out. She always understands the late hours, and the middle of the night phone calls, and the other demands of this job, but she's never let me forget one important thing. Chief of police is not who I am, it's just what I do. She never allowed me to lose my identity as a husband, father, son, or friend. I love you. And perhaps now we can finally take that trip to Alaska that I've been promising you since our 10th anniversary. I've had a wonderful career. With one exception, there's nothing I would change, good or bad, because all those experiences have made me the man who stands before you tonight. The only thing I would change, I can't. I'd love to have had my friend Officer Josh Materian standing with me tonight. Came on the department together in 1997, and there's not a day that has gone by since his tragic death on July 13, 2008 that I don't think of him. May this community continue to actively keep his memory and his sacrifice alive as we have these past 13 years. God bless you, Josh. To serve as your chief of police has been an honor for which I hope I demonstrated I was worthy of. The Twinsburg Police Department was here long before me and will remain long after I'm gone. And it's our responsibility to build on the past and envision the future in the time we have here. I retire having accomplished most of the professional goals I set, and because of the Boy Scout that I am, I truly believe I'm leaving this agency better than I found it. My retirement from the police department doesn't mean retirement from this community, though. Beth and I have no plans for moving out of Twinsburg. This is our home. For now, Beth is allowing me a sabbatical until the end of the year with 2 conditions. One, I have to have a daily schedule. I'm not allowed to wake up in the morning and try to figure out what I want to do. She knows that means I just stay on the couch and watch TV all day. I have volunteer opportunities with scouting and a couple of organizations that I will pursue. The other condition is that I work actively on my physical fitness, so you'll probably see me walking around town. Remember though, as of September 4th, I'll only be able to dial 911 and wait for the cops to arrive, just like you. Once the calendar turns to 2022, I'll start figuring out what my next great adventure is. Thank you for allowing me to serve as your chief of police. I'm a far better person for having spent my career as an employee and a resident of Twinsburg. To borrow from baseball's Iron Horse Lou Gehrig, today I am the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I wish you all peace and joy in your lives. Thank you.
Council's going to do their motion
Yeah.
and then their comments.
Okay, Council, thank you, Chief. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 62, 2021. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any discussion? I'd like to start out the discussion if I can. Chief, I just want to say that, it's been a pleasure working with you all these years. Gosh, I was first elected to council in 2002, and you came on as the chief in 2006. And so you've really been the only chief that I've known since I've been a city councilman here. And it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you. The people of Twinsburg, this is a town that we all love. And it's somewhere that we've all been very lucky throughout these years because of you and all of your staff, from the administrative staff to the patrolmen on the street, that we all feel so very safe and lucky here in the city of Twinsburg, because you guys are always there for us, and we appreciate that. I appreciate you. I appreciate not only you working with you, but the friendship that we've had as well. You've always been just a phone call away from me, and I truly appreciate that I've been able to reach out to you from the silliest question to maybe some of the more not so silly questions. But we've been through that, and it's truly been an honor and a pleasure to work with you and for being able to call you my friend. And I'm not going to go on and on because I'm sure everybody else wants to make a comment. So thank you so much for all that you do. I wish you the best in your retirement. God bless you and your family. Who else? Anybody else want to talk?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Mr. Bell.
So, Chief, the other day, the Akron Beacon Journal wrote a story about you. And in there they said, that, or I think they were actually quoting you, and they said you called yourself an accidental police officer. And I will say to you publicly this evening what I said when I shared that article. I said, it's no accident what a tremendous chief you have been. Thank you for your friendship, your leadership, the intelligent conversations, pushing me to represent the city in some light the way you have. Enjoy your retirement. It's well deserved, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, yes. I just want to say that the first time I met you, we just clicked, and you have always been my friend, and I felt the kindness that you showed towards me, and I hope I showed you the kindness toward you, and I just thought that, I knew you were the police officer and, the chief of police, but we didn't talk about those things. We just talked about the little things in life that makes it easier, and that we just feel so good when we talk to each other. And I just want to quote something from the Bible, and it says, "Don't let no man despise thy youth." You're young enough to do whatever you want to do. You're young enough to be whoever you want to be. You can grow up now. You could sing, you could dance, you could do whatever. So I'm just saying, come back to see us, and always be the type of person that you are, and that's be kind. You're welcome.
Mr. Sherry.
Thank you. Chris, congratulations on your retirement. I thoroughly enjoyed our talks in your office and at the diner, and I wish you and your family all the best in the future, so thank you.
Mr. Barr.
Chief, it has been a real privilege getting to know you. I always thought of you as a friend and not the chief administrator for a police agency. I'm amazed at just your love and passion for the job. I've always felt that law enforcement is sort of a calling. The men and women here tonight probably share in that same opinion. Yeah, it's just a job, but it takes a really special individual. These are trying, difficult times. There's a referendum on law enforcement right now in the United States. But at no time did any of that negativity or nastiness ever creep in. You just have a selfless commitment to this community that I don't know if anybody will ever be able to replace. In all our conversations and meetings and chats, formal and informal, you're just always able to look at the glass as half full. A problem solver, just a kindred spirit, somebody that can get it done. It's been a privilege, and I'm glad you're staying in Twinsburg, because forever you will be a friend. And I know this is a fleeting moment in your career, as Mrs. Walker said. Now you have this opportunity to explore some different paths, but you will surely be missed by myself, and I'm sure everybody up here. And congratulations on your retirement. Best of luck to you.
Thanks.
Mrs. Stoffer.
Well, I have to follow that. Congratulations, Chief. I'm really going to miss you. It's been a great ride, 12 years. Sitting here, you've done an amazing job. So thank you for everything that you've done. You raised a beautiful family. Congratulations. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Mrs. Levy.
Congratulations, Chief. We have no personal experiences that I could share. But every night I sleep under the blanket of safety that you provide, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Thank you.
Mayor, do you have anything further?
Nothing further from me.
Mr. Maestros.
Thanks. I just want to congratulate you, Chris, on your retirement. It is not easy being a chief of police. Okay, you did a great job on it, and it's also not easy to be able to leave on your own terms, and you've also accomplished that. So I'm very happy for you. I'm very proud of you, and I know we're going to be seeing you around town. So congratulations.
I'm going to go around the whole dais. Shannon Collins.
Chief, congratulations, well deserved, and I'll see you in the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Sarah and Mrs. Bucci-Brass.
Congratulations. I know we'll be getting together for lunch soon, so
Absolutely.
I'll miss you around City Hall, but not around Twinsburg.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I guess that's the discussion. Shannon, would you call the roll?
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. At this time, we're going to go on to audience participation and then on to the rest of the agenda. So you're welcome to stay if you'd like to stay, but if you want to leave, this would be the time to leave. So
Mr. Speaker,
thank you for coming.
We're actually going to take a quick recess.
Oh, we are? Oh, yeah, we're
All right.
going to recess. Oh, I didn't know there was cake.
I didn't either.
We'll be back in a few.
Two cakes in one day.
Session. Next, we have audience participation.
First,
Jan.
we have Bruce Baldwin.
Mr. Baldwin,
Yes.
come on down.
Same name as I am. Yes, good evening, Council. Bruce Baldwin, 3310 Cannon Road. Almost hit me in the head. This was really something, I wish everybody could have seen this. This was at Cracker Barrel Restaurant, Twinsburg. Police officers in there, and they had their pictures taken of a 3-year-old who had a little police uniform on. And to see something like that, this kid probably hasn't slept since then, and the date on that was 8:43 in the morning, 08/2021, so the kid probably hasn't went to sleep. So the parents probably wanted to, but to see something like that, they had a picture taken, they give them a gift. I don't know if it was a Glock or a 38 or whatnot. But to see something like that with the baby, I really felt that they went out of their way to do that. I really it got to me. I think I walked out without paying my bill. Anyway, another thing. This thing here is another good thing. 08/2020, 15:43 hours, a truck hit my mailbox, so I called the Twinsburg Police Department about the accident. I could not believe how short a time for 2 officers to show up with a truck and get the thing taken care of. It was just an accident. Things happen like that. The guy didn't. I felt bad for the guys. I did for myself. I couldn't get bills for 3 days. It was terrible. It was awful. And I really want to thank them for. I mean, I don't see how they got there so quick. They got the truck, brought the guy back. Unfortunately, I knew him, and it was just a bad situation. I guess they actually helped them make a better situation by the way they handled everything. The 2 of them did. And there's a funny thing here, because I'm not familiar with this. I don't know how many of you are. This was 08/2021, Thursday morning, 11:21. To thank whoever was on their toes for stopping a land clearing on Depot. You know where Depot Street is between I'm talking about Depot between Cannon and 14. They didn't have a permit, from what I hear through the grapevine. Streets tell me. I don't know who's responsible for. I have no idea. But I'm glad that I wish they could have got there a little bit sooner, because if you want to, I'd like to have you go by there. There's not one tree left. I mean, I'm not really a tree hugger, but I just hate to see. I mean, I can't see a responsible company coming in without a permit. I can't understand why they would. I work for a contractor who would never think of going on the job without a permit. We always had a permit when we left the shop. Okay, now, day 25. What about the old Blue Top Motel down? What are we going to do with that? The thing looks like something I'd live in. It's been closed now since a fire. I don't remember how long ago it was, but I understand it was a halfway house to help people with problems, which I'm more than in favor of. I've seen this go on, and for somebody to help out like that, but I guess for some reason this thing catched a fire, I don't know. It's been vacant for quite a while, and I hate to see people or a business come to town and they see that. And it just doesn't look good. One thing, a good thing is out of town instead of in the middle of town where everybody can see it. Maybe some people don't go out there, but to look at it just makes me feel kind of bad to see something like that. The funny thing, there's another funny thing about this. When I was in Twinsburg High School, a friend of mine who lived on Liberty Road had a 1956 Ford sitting outside. Just under 2 weeks, Twinsburg police officer come to his house and told him, please, Mr. Perry, you have to put your car in the garage. You sit there, I think it's just a little under 2 weeks. Put your car in the garage, you get license plates on it. We've had cars sitting around town here since Hector was a pup. I don't think they're driving them on flat tires, and I really mean this. I mean, they're sitting around different, I've seen quite a few of them. And how many cars are doing this? It just doesn't seem, it just doesn't look good as far as you know what I mean? So, I don't understand how, he was very nice. I remember Mr. Lowry was his name, come to the house, very, very nice about him. Mr. Perry, could you please, him and I worked at the garage together, and he was so nice about that. So we actually drove the car in the garage, if I remember right, and then he got the license plates and then was driving it back and forth to work. And the funny thing, it happened to me today. I was out mowing my yard, and a police officer decided that the stop sign was not for him. He went through the stop sign and just kind of looked at me, so I waved at him. I mean, I don't, you know, if the police department dislikes me that much, I'm telling the truth. I mean, to see a police officer do that, to me, just does not make me happy, to see him do that. But I was just kind of wondering, and now the house next to the Blue Top, which I tried to get him to take the paper from when I was a kid, that's vacant now and a lot's growing up. I just hate to see a vacant house. People don't have a place to live in here. We have a house sitting, which is not your fault, I understand that. But to see, somebody did come and mow the yard last week or week before, which made it look a lot better. But I just, that Blue Top Motel really, I believe somebody's gonna come and set the thing afire, to be honest with you. I don't wanna see that. I do not wanna see that. Well, thank you very much, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank
Be
you,
safe.
Mr.
Take
Baldwin.
care of yourself and each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin.
Next, we have Sheila Williams.
I'm going to talk about the health department first. We had a meeting a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Anyway, I'm going to give you some numbers. In July, we had 400 COVID cases in Summit County. Of that 100, I can't say whether they're Delta. It's not broken down. It just says COVID. About 50 of them were from vacationers. They had gone on vacation somewhere, and in that 50 group, I think most of them had been vaccinated, but they were in a public environment, and so it was a problem. From August 1st to August 12th, so it must have been 13th or 14th that we had our meeting, we had 750 cases. And I bring that forward because that is almost double in less than 30 days. And we have one more big holiday coming up. So we're pushed out now. We're looking at what things are gonna look like in October. I'm sure you've heard, or it's been on TV, and I know it's been in the paper, we're offering a $100 gift card for people to get a COVID shot. They're trying to target areas and pockets where people have not been as responsive. The Delta mutation is far more contagious and far more underneath than people really realize. And again, I'm going to say, whether you agree with it or not, you have some protection with a vaccination. And I can't say that enough. And when the health department director was giving the report from 400 to 750, I was like, did she actually say that? And she did. On a positive note, the CARES money with the county, we're forming a partnership. So we're going to be doing some infrastructure improvements that will offset costs to us by partnering with the county. We're doing a drive-in, drive-up building, attachment on the side. There's going to be some infrastructure on the doors, sanitation stations, different things like that. And it's really good because I think it's about $400,000 worth of improvements that we're going to get from the county that's not going to cost the health department money to make these improvements. So I wanted to make you all aware of that in case somebody asked what was going on. And this partnership is something that we weren't sure how much they were going to give us. And so we have a wish list, and as we're going down this list, we're checking it off, and it's looking pretty good. So that's really nice. Kent State is having a training of new board members on Thursday. We have 2 new board members coming on board. I don't have their names in front of me. I know Angela was one that used to be with the chamber. And I believe the other gentleman is the superintendent of Aurora Schools. So we're having a meeting of talking to them about expectations, blase, whatever. But they're moving along. Enrollment is down, but I think enrollment is down for a number of reasons. We had a lot of kids. It was much higher for us during COVID because kids were at home and your parents just let them take classes from us versus paying for Carnegie Mellon or any of these other more priced schools. So we expect it to pick up maybe in January, but at this point I know when we all go to the meeting, that's going to be a discussion. I've replaced Walt Hoffman as chairman of Kent Campus, Twinsburg, because he said he's tired. And after calling and calling and calling and talking and talking and talking, I agreed to stay on and do that as a favor to him if he helps me behind the scenes. So a lot of good things going on in the city. And I just want to say thank you to the service department. They addressed, as they're doing their fire hydrant issues and things, and they did paint our hydrants. And I just want to say thank you to them, because it has been hot as a dog outside working. And I do appreciate them coming out and doing that. And when I look down Easton's, the red hydrants really do look good. And you know, as you drive around the city, the little bitty things that we do, that's why everybody wants to be like us. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Hey, Sheila, I guess one quick question, sorry.
Yes.
I had a resident call me the other day, and I actually have the same issue. If they got vaccinated in Summit County and down at the,
Health department.
right, can they get another card if they have misplaced it, their vaccination card?
I'm going to say yes,
Okay.
with identification,
Okay.
and to call down and talk to the director.
Okay.
To see what the procedure is for that.
Okay.
Because they're like gold.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, I have no idea where mine is. I have pictures of it. I have no idea where it is.
Yeah, and maybe if you can
Okay.
take, show the
Okay.
picture of it and stuff, I'm sure that they'll probably.
Thank you very
replace
much.
it.
I appreciate it.
Question, Sheila.
Yes.
Someone else? Or no? So I know Summit County is around 55% vaccinated. Do we have a way to know by zip code? I've been trying to locate where Twinsburg stands as a municipality.
I can ask, but I don't think so.
I haven't seen any data
Yeah.
out there that breaks it down.
No, because the issue with that is then it becomes even more political.
Yeah.
And even like with the COVID test, of the 400 people that were positive, our health director, medical director, she will ask, have you been vaccinated? You have the option of not answering that question. So we can't keep with so much data. The state is not keeping any data as far as a breakdown if it's COVID or if it's Delta variants or what, because I think they don't want to create fear in certain areas. We do know that multifamily homes are at greater risk. People that are working in, like, I'm not gonna identify any place, but certain areas that people work in, they're at greater risk. And that's why it's so important to try to get a vaccination, to try to cut down on that. And even traveling, everyone I know that's been going out of the country, you have to go get a test before you go, show your vaccination card, and get a test to come back into the country. To me, it's worth doing all of that to be safe. But what do I know?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we have this evening.
Okay. Next, we have Council Communication Committee reports. Mrs. Stuffer.
My committee, well, ARB met, but Mrs. Walker took over for me. So, Mrs. Walker, are you doing your report today, Mrs. Walker?
Yes, I will.
Thank you very much.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Mr. Perry.
Yes, I attended a Finance Committee meeting earlier this evening, and the comprehensive plan will meet this Thursday at 6 p.m. That's August 26th at City Hall. Mark, can you turn the presentation on? So this goes back to the surveys that we had over 1,000 residents in the city of Twinsburg, 20 focus groups, and the biggest challenges that the residents thought were our finances, false information on Facebook, and communication with our residents, and on forth. So as we see things on public media that are untrue or have a spin to them regarding the city finances, we're going to address those. We have, again, from the round table, seems to be where most of the data has come from since we started this 6 months ago. But our Mr. Singstock has posted some numbers. The income tax revenue numbers were absolutely accurate. And then he makes some projections on the clubhouse. He claims that the clubhouse debt service is $479,000 annually. It's really about $80,000 less than that. He talks about how there's a tax commission determination that could cost us $220,000 annually. We filed all the paperwork. We have every intention of getting that resolved in our favor, as have other communities that have similar enterprise zones. Also talked about us needing to subsidize the golf course, which we have done in the past. I mean, Twinsburg's owned this golf course since 1997, and we've invested in it, and we have maintained the operation. But I'll tell you that we've done things in the last few years to lower the cost of our service to it, the grass cutting and the things that we've done there to reduce that. And this year, our revenues are up over 50% from our best year ever. So we're looking at significantly more revenues coming in. I think we're going to break our past high this month. So looking forward to that. At the end of the day, there's a lot of things going right in the city of Twinsburg financially. If we expect the determination of tax administrator to be $100,000 left. So Mr. Senstock, our auditor, is only off by $150,000 on his projection of $625,000. So again, auditors are supposed to be non-biased. Nothing seems to fall to the benefit of the city. Regarding the finances of the city of Twinsburg, there's a statement of cash that everybody can get online. It's on our website. We've gone through how to find that. This is July statement of cash. We're looking at an ending balance of $13.7 million. That's up almost $2 million from where we started. And currently today we have $30.5 million on hand. That does not count any of the American Cares money that we've received that we have not logged into that month, as well as any future property taxes from the issue 2 that was passed in the spring. So again, financially, we're in a really solid place. We've done a performance audit, we've reduced our costs, and things are going well. So again, as we see things that are not balanced, we will correct them. Also, Mr. Senstock had asked for the names of all the underage or minor children who work for the city. The law department's been working on to block that for months now. That's still unresolved, and I believe we'll find out that within the month how that works out. But either way, we'll make sure that the children of the city of Twinsburg are safe from putting that information out. I wanted to say, if you look at one way to find out what's going on in the city of Twinsburg, the city publishes an e-newsletter, and this is what it looks like. It's published monthly. You can go on the city's mytwinsburg.com and sign up for it. I wanted to especially show that it's a lot of information on our fire department, free zoo, talks about Twins Days, but it also in the back has a mayor's report. The mayor's report is a 50-page document that's prepared monthly that gives you an overview of every single department, money, calls for the fire department, police department. There's a ton of information in there, and that's available for you. So really, if you want to find out more about the city and more about the finances of the city, just sign up for the newsletter. And lastly, this is just for your informational purposes, but Jennifer Benson is the new department head of our Park and Recreation. She's director of Park and Recreation. And she sent out a notice to us about 2 new classes that they're running, and I thought these were great. First you've got Perfectly Polite Dining, where they teach kids like they did when I was in high school. They had a home ec class. You had to do all this stuff and set tables and figure out how to do that. And I don't believe they do that as often anymore. But there's a Perfectly Polite Etiquette class that's being held. And the second one's even better, the Money Game, teaching financial literacy to kids. I think that should be mandatory, and to how paychecks work, taxes, expenses. I got a kid with a college degree that I'm not sure understands everything here because maybe I should have worked on that a little bit better. But again, fantastic classes for your kids. Perfectly played etiquette and the money game. And Jennifer, I think that's an outstanding program, and thank you very much for coming up with it. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barr.
Good evening, thank you. Since we last met, I attended the Planning Commission meeting on August 16th. There were a couple of items on the agenda. The first being a public hearing and motion on a religious institution for a conditional use permit at 9945 Vale Drive. Basically, it's for the Twinsburg Chabad, and it was passed 5-0 in favor of granting a conditional use permit. The rabbi spoke, basically looking to just hold some events and things of that nature there off hours. Larry Miller, the building owner, came. They did discuss some parking concerns, but given the size of the space and the number of people they anticipate being there, planning didn't really feel that was going to be too much of an issue. There was some housekeeping over at Cornerstone Business Park Phase 4, the minor subdivision at 8796 Independence Parkway. This is permanent parcel number 6400380. And basically, Chris Dempsey presented the case for Twinsburg Industrial Properties to just make sure that all our ducks are in a row over there. That passed 5-0. Something that council received earlier this week, Mrs. Collins sent out, was a summary of Planning Commission's consideration to limit or prohibit medical marijuana. This was something that council had asked planning to look at a while ago, and I'd like to commend the members of the Planning Commission for really diving into this. They really took a lot of time. Lynn, the city planner, put together quite a detailed syllabus of these facilities, with the retail dispensaries, cultivators, processors, and the laws as it pertains to these things at the state level, how that would affect us specifically here in Twinsburg. Planning, again, had some excellent conversations. There were some very valid points brought up. And again, I would like to thank the members of the Planning Commission for really diving into this and giving this issue their full attention, because understandably, this can be somewhat contentious. Again, the summary was sent out to all members of council, but Planning Commission, did vote unanimously to allow cultivators as a permitted use within the I1, I2, and I3 industrial districts. They voted to, by unanimous vote, recommend processors as a permitted use within the I2 and I3 districts. There was some question by members of the Planning Commission whether or not our zoning specifically allowed those as agricultural uses, or if there would need to be some type of zoning change. I'll defer to council on that should that issue arise. More specifically, and I think what is of a more timely nature, was the idea of a retail dispensary. And planning, by unanimous vote, did recommend retail dispensaries by conditional use permit in the C2 and C3 districts. Per the Ohio Revised Code, these facilities must be 500 feet from the property line of schools, preschools, churches, and public parks. So this limitation at the state level removes the consideration for many locations in our districts currently zoned C2. And a conditional use would require a public hearing and review process. So this would allow for additional restrictions to be required by a case-by-case basis by members of Planning Commission and also members of council. The one item that Mr. Cohen did ask was that if council was to move forward with this, that we did so in a timely fashion. He had asked about the possibility of putting something before the voters this November. I informed him the date of our meeting was August 16th, and I believe the 90-day issue filing, Mr. Macias, was August 4th. Is that correct, sir?
Correct. We've already passed that for November. Yes.
So at this point, I think we'd be looking at the earliest putting this to the voters, provided council's in favor of it, would be on a May.
That's correct.
Bill. Yeah. So again, that's the report. I did just want to kind of go into it a little bit more in detail because it was something that, I mean, the members of this legislative body asked planning to specifically look at. So they did recommend this to council. At this point, are we in the process of preparing legislation to put together, Mr. Maestros?
We are. That was an excellent summation of that meeting. And I met with Lynn Muter. We've already talked about really these three issues. And clearly the last one, the retail use, does have to go on the ballot because we are putting conditional use permit and a conditional use aspect to that. So that the plan is to get language to council for approval to get it on the May ballot as a permit or a conditionally permitted use in those districts. The other two, and at this point, I'm in agreement with Lynn on the opinion that our current code as it's situated allows the industrial uses.
Mm-hmm.
When this issue first came to us a couple of years ago, we made that decision that it did allow them. It was already a permitted use. So I think we'll just have the one issue for the ballot as it currently stands, but as we dig into this a little deeper, it might change. So.
And just to wrap this up, because this did come up in conversation, I actually thought it was an excellent point. This is for medical marijuana dispensaries. Should Ohio at some point, as other states, I believe Michigan was cited specifically in this example, allow for a recreational use, Michigan has an entirely different set of laws, permits, and rules that apply to those facilities. So a medical marijuana dispensary may only ever be just a medical marijuana dispensary, and that any recreational use as permitted by the Ohio Revised Code would certainly be something that, again, we'd have the opportunity to address at that time, at least similar to what the state of Michigan has done.
That's correct.
That's all I have, sir.
Great.
All right, thank you.
The Finance Committee met earlier this evening at 6 o'clock. Just a couple things I'd like to touch on from that meeting. We discussed the American Rescue Plan eligible uses, and but part of that we discussed was we got our first deposit so far, and that deposit was approximately just under $1 million. And within the next year, we will receive our second deposit, and that's going to be about the same amount of money, $1 million. We also discussed first half of 2021 summary, and to add on to Mr. Fury's report a little bit, the golf course revenue. That's something I wanted to bring out because that was really a good report there that we heard today. The year-to-date revenue of the golf course is about $572,000 compared to last year at the same time it was $380,000. So, contrary to what a lot of people say, we're doing pretty well over there as of this point. Some of the increased revenue is due in part to the on-time opening, the rate increases, and increased play this year versus year 2020. So that was really good news to hear. Also, we've had a lot of good news there in the Finance Committee tonight. The Fitness Center Fund, the year-to-date subsidy has been $22,000 compared to same time last year was $195,500. And some of that was the lowering of the subsidy was due in part to controlled expenses through the reduced operating and personnel costs, and also the increased revenue from the water park usage versus last year of 2020. So those are two really good, some really good news. Again, back to the golf course, we've looked at about $191,000 increase so far this year from last year. So it was a very good meeting and very detailed. Sarah did a great job of going over that with us, and to not delayed anymore. We talked about some credit card reporting, and there were a few other things, work from home withholding update that she gave us. So again, a very informative meeting. That was the end of the Finance Committee meeting. The next meeting we have for Finance will be on September 28th at 6 o'clock here at City Hall. The Capital Improvement Board will have their first meeting of this season on Tuesday, which is next Tuesday, August 31st at 5:30 right here in the council chamber. So anybody interested in coming, please attend. Any department heads, any residents that would like to come and see how that works out. And that's it for my report tonight. I had one other bit, but it slips my mind. Anyway, Mrs. Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Scafidi. I did attend the finance meeting earlier today, and I also filled in for Mrs. Stauffer on the ARB. And I brought samples because I thought perhaps council should know exactly what we're looking at, and I think council should be involved in the ARB as far as pictures are concerned and what they want to do. And also I was thinking about the CIC, because I think the purpose of the CIC, number one, is to renovate the downtown area. Is that one of the goals that the CIC has?
We are participating in a downtown renovation that is a plan of the cities and the comprehensive plan and the office or the administration. So I would not say that the CIC is on their own developing the downtown. It's just it's a tool that we can use to help work with a developer to get an agreed upon product in the downtown area to again generate more foot traffic and revitalize the amount of people we have downtown.
Okay.
And there's to assemble those properties down there as well, so we have something that we could offer to a developer.
Okay. And the reason why I asked, because I just want to talk about what we discussed at the last meeting, which was last Thursday. And here's a picture of, if anybody knows where the laundromat is. Yep. Okay. This is the laundromat, and I could pass this around if you want to look at it. And what we're doing, they're going to recover the whole building. And I asked that question regarding renovation of downtown to see if this is what you want in the downtown area, you know. Anyway, we talked about covering the building with different materials, putting up signs, doing the top. There's chairs that are mismatched. There are parking lots with no parking lot lines. There's a handicap sign, but no handicap line for a person. And so I stayed late and I talked to Jen, who's over this, and I told her what I thought, but I didn't mention it in the meeting. And we agreed on certain things, and so she wanted me to talk to council and invite you to some of their ARB meetings to get some of your opinions of what they're going to do. Wait a minute, Bill, let me finish. But also, you know, I look at all the chairs, they're different sizes, different colors. There's no signs anywhere except for the laundromat. And I think this is a big project. A lot of decisions to be made, what to do on the top, the middle, the bottom. And so I'm just bringing this to council to let you know some of the things that Maureen Mrs. Stauffer hasn't looked at, and some of these things are quite challenging. Also, the tea house, they want to build a garage. They're in the process they want to get approval to build a garage. And the tea house is on Church Street and 82. Now, we already received a letter from the neighbor that lives on 82 next to the tea house, and she's complaining that there's not enough room to build a garage. If you build this garage, my bedroom is upstairs, and all I could do is see the top of the garage, and she doesn't want it. And the reason why I brought this up is because of, it's the downtown area. And I looked at residential homes. I'm sure Mrs. Stauffer drove around, looked at residential homes. But when you come to the downtown area, I think we need to do better than approve the laundromat being this color and that color. You don't mention the parking lot. You don't mention the handicap. You see all kinds.
The parking lot doesn't fall within the ARB.
Oh.
So
Yeah, well, I'm just-
your scope is so out of line of
Yeah.
what the ARB is supposed to do.
Well,
that,
that's why I talk with her privately
Well,
to
I'm just
see
saying
what
that's
we
not-
can. But even if it's out of scope, I mean, if this is how the downtown area is gonna be with the laundromat, and then you have this big parking lot that we can't do anything about, and it has holes in it and no lines in it, and you don't know where to park, I think we need to do a little bit better. And when we approve some things, to add things to it, to make it look acceptable when you ride around downtown area. Also with the tea house, I love the tea house. I've been to the tea house, but the neighbor is saying, I don't want that garage. I personally think the garage is going to be too big for the space that it's in. And
that would be the planning commission, then to the BZA before you ever got to the ARB.
So I'm just telling you, I'm just giving this information out. And Jen mentioned to me, she says, are you going to report to council? I says, yes. She says, we'll tell them about what we're going through. So I'm just passing on the information. You're more than welcome to go to the meeting. Mrs. Stauffer will probably go to the next meeting, which is...
I'll be there, yeah.
I'm saying that the part of, there's been some challenges with the planning, or the ARB, is that
There's some challenges.
they're worried about things that they're not supposed to worry about.
See,
So
that
we
I don't know. I'm
so we
just
shouldn't
filling
be,
in.
Spending time on parking lots, because they don't get to pick parking lots. It's not their job.
Yeah.
So she
But-
might have an interest, but it's not
Yeah.
pertinent to the goal or in my opinion. Dave, Maestros, or Mr. Maestros, Mr. Mayor,
Right.
Mr. Scafidi, anybody want to comment? I mean, that's my opinion.
What I got on her report is I think what they're looking at is with the possible development of the downtown, that whatever they do here matches with what our vision is for the southeast quadrant of the square as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where they were going with this. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
We don't own
I-
that.
I don't-
I understand,
It's not
but-
for sale that I'm aware of.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I know, but in order for us to approve what they plan on doing to the face of that building, okay? I think we should have, of course, have our say-so.
I agree.
I too.
I think that's what she was trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment, the difficulty with many of these boards and commissions, let's use the ARB for example, is they have a applicant or piece of property in front of them, and they have a very limited scope of how that got there. They tend to venture outside that scope because they figure, well, we have them here, we might as well address these things. The problem with that is that when it's outside the scope of the particular board, it exposes the city to potential liability because those applicants are there for that limited purpose. And we have to be very careful that if an applicant is before ARB, they're there for those issues. If they're before planning, they're there for those issues. That's why you'll often see a recommendation, approval, conditioned upon you getting BZA approval for a variance or ARB approval. Because these planning commission, for example, does a very good job of recognizing what their duties are and not stepping on the toes of the other boards and commissions. And I think we have to be very careful with ARB. And we do have, Keith and I have met, Mr. Folks and I have met about some language changes that we're planning on bringing to council and hoping to turn that clock on January 1st of next year, where we have some very specific what will go to ARB and what's for decision, what will be decided in-house. So we're working on that as we speak.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's it. I'm
Okay.
done.
Mr. Bellman.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your summer. I was not in attendance in the July meeting. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Mrs. Labby to council. I'm very much looking forward to working with you. I was honored to walk into Twins Days Parade on Saturday, August 7th. It's always awesome to see so many twins come to town, and it was especially great after the off year in 2020. The combined Meadowood and Corbett's Farm garage sale was on Friday, August 13th and Saturday, August 14th. I'd like to give special thanks to the organizing committee and especially Jennifer Crawford for making that an outstanding event. I attended this evening's Finance Committee meeting. Thank you, Mr. Scafidi, for your report. The JEDI Committee, as well as all of its subcommittees, have been on summer recess. The next meeting of the full JEDI Committee meeting will be on Monday, September 13th, and the next meeting of the Community Outreach Subcommittee will be on September 20th. The Board of Zoning Appeals that was scheduled to meet tomorrow on Wednesday, August 25th has been canceled due to lack of agenda items. The BZA will meet in September on Wednesday, September 22nd. There already is an agenda item. Nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Levy.
I also attended the finance meeting today. We were to have a golf advisory meeting in August. It was canceled. The next meeting will be on the 21st of September.
Okay.
And tomorrow I'm going to attend the Whispering Woods Homeowners Association meeting just to meet some of those people and discuss some of their concerns with the developer and what he's done and what he hasn't done. So the developer will be there as well.
Great. Thank you. Mayor.
All right, good evening, everyone. Well, welcome back to council. We've had a great summer. Just a couple of things I want to touch on. Rock the Park was a really successful concert series this year. I want to thank Jen, Ryan, Brandon, Jacob, Laura was out there every concert, as well as a lot of other people I'm probably forgetting in terms of just their volunteer and their help, and a lot of our part-timers. I want to thank council and Ms. Bucci-Gross for being such wonderful bartenders. That was well needed out there. But things went really well this year. I mean, it was great to see residents just having fun and not thinking about anything and just getting back to what we're used to seeing at our concerts. So it was a really good time, and I want to thank that crew for because a ton of work goes into those concerts. So I'm just glad they were all successful. There is one final concert that's actually being organized by St. Cosmas and Damien called Amplified Faith. So we do have one concert left. They've got 4 Christian artists coming in. So I know that's coming up this weekend. So I encourage council and residents to attend that. I think they're organizing the ticket sales. So I mean, go to their website.
It's
check it
six and under is free, and tickets can be brought at the gate.
Yep.
This Friday? Saturday?
It's this Saturday.
Oh.
Saturday. And it's a longer concert. I believe it starts earlier in the evening than what our typical concerts do. Yeah. Yep. And then also I was in Twins Day Parade. It was also good to see Twins Day back in town. It's a lot of work that goes in from the city standpoint as well as the committee standpoint, but I know they were excited to have it back, and all the twins that are coming from really around the world were excited to have Twins Day back this year. So taking a year off probably made everyone appreciate what we have here. We have been working on our budget planning meetings. Sure, Ms. Bucci-Gross may mention that or may not, but we've been meeting with all department heads and just going over kind of the preliminary budget request and capital request. And so she'll be compiling all that data. We'll get it to council and the capital improvement board. We did swear in. I want to congratulate some firemen tonight. We've been working with the fire department for a number of years on really their overall number of firefighters on each shift, as well as their administrative structure. We've been able to make some changes and work through a lot of those. The council, I want to thank you for that. And tonight was kind of a couple of the final pieces. We swore in Wilson Wojtowicz and Brent Boyko, 2 full-timers that will finalize the 10 per shift. And then we had part-timer Corey Hinderleiter that joined, and we're still trying to build up that part-time base. And we had an MOU with the fire union to be able to help with some of our overtime costs and some of our use of part-timers as minimum manning, so that helping building up that base. And then also we have a cadet program that was brought to us by the chiefs. We had Morgan Powers and Troy Williams, who were the top 2 students in their class. and were recruited heavily away from here, but both of them really wanted to stay with Twinsburg. This is where they trained, this is where they grew up. So we're excited that they wanted to stay here, and that program has been successful in bringing new young candidates to our fire department. And then lastly, I mentioned it to council, and it'll be advertised publicly here soon. I was approached by Kathy Powers, and we have the schools, the city, the township, Reminderville, the library, and the VFW all organizing a 20th anniversary of 9/11. And so we'll have an event that's going to occur on the square at 10:28 on 9/11. And I encourage everyone to attend. We're going to get some banners that'll be on the square advertising it, and then all of us will probably, through our social media resources, start getting the word out to residents to attend that. That event had such a significant impact on everything that we do today. I mean, it has trickled down to everything that happens, whether we're traveling, whether we're holding public meetings, really how we live our lives. And so I think recognizing the sacrifices that were made and the lives that were lost that day is important for our community. So we'll have that event on that particular day. And that is all I have this evening. I think I have one department head report. And you're always last, Ms. Buccigrosso, it's you.
Good evening, Council. Through July, our income tax revenues for the month of July were just under 1.7 million. Last year's July number was a little over 1.8 million. So that is a decrease of a little over 8%, or $150,000. We expected to see that. That's that catch up from the tax returns being due later last year. So we've been talking about that earlier this year, that we'd see that little bounce. Year to date, we are up 6.21%, just under $1 million. We're at 15.9 million, where last year we were at 14.9. But just to put that in perspective, pre-COVID, compared to 2019, this year's collections are down a little over 4%, which is just under $710,000. So we're above last year, but still below where we were before the pandemic hit. We have closed up the July books, and we will have those financials online a little later this week. We're still discussing our American Rescue Plan money at the Finance Committee, and we hope to be presenting some of the possible uses for that money over the coming months. We do have that electronic sewer billing option that we've been talking about most of the year is now available, and they are rolling it out. You'll see some marketing come out. I think Mark might have had an article in the last newsletter, or maybe in the next one. If you go to mytwinsburg.com/billing, it's just an online option to get your sewer bill emailed to you, and you can pay online. That'll be a nice option. It is not something that you have to do, though. We'll still have paper bills for those who want them. And then, as the mayor mentioned, we started our 2020 appropriations meetings. We've met with almost all of the departments at this point, so we'll start putting that together. We are going to present a temporary budget again this year to give us that extra time after we close year end and see where everything shakes out. We'll probably do that for the next couple years, I would imagine, just because we need that extra time as we come out of this pandemic to know what's going on. Over on the IT side of things, we're continuing to work on the website updates and keeping that newsletter going, try to get some good news out to the folks. We talked today about the council update to make our streaming capabilities a little better, work on the sound. So hopefully that'll be coming along in the next few months. And then we do have some cost savings coming up with our security controls that Zach presented today at caucus. We're excited about that project. And then really just staying busy with ongoing maintenance, training, and updates for all the technology needs around the city. One thing I did want to bring your attention to over in IT is we're going to have to start looking at multi-factor authentication for the computers. It's one of those things that's becoming very big with cybersecurity, and just making sure that we protect ourselves as much as we possibly can. It's going to be a big project.
What's that?
Could you say that term again?
Multi-factor authentication.
Multi-factor authentication.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever had to log into the bank for work, but you have your username and password, and you also have a fob that creates a new code every whatever so many minutes. So it's things like that for logging into the computers and
Thank
stuff.
you.
So big project, but it's something we have to start looking into. And that's all I have for tonight.
That's it. That's it.
Okay. Next, we'll move on to legislation. We have Resolution 57, 2021.
A resolution acknowledging council's receipt and review of the monthly financial statements submitted by the Finance Department for April, May, and June 2021.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 57, 2021. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Barr seconds. This is something that we do quarterly, so I don't know if there's any other further questions about this. If not, Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 57, 2021 passes 7-0. We have Ordinance 58, 2021.
An ordinance requesting the fiscal officer of Summit County, Ohio to accept certification of delinquent sanitary sewer rentals and water fund maintenance charges as compiled and placed on record in the office of the Twinsburg Finance Director and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and place Ordinance 58, 2021 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Can I have a second?
I'll second. I'll yield.
Mrs. Walker seconds. The reason for the emergency is that we do this on a yearly basis, and they have a deadline of September that we need to get these delinquencies down to the county. Any further discussion on that? Call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I would like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 58, 2021 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who's that? Mrs. Labby?
Stop.
Mrs. Stoffer.
I'll yield.
Mrs. Stoffer.
Levy.
Just pick one.
Yeah, I know.
Mrs. Labby?
Mrs. Stoffer, I got you. Is there any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, Ordinance 58, 2021 passes 7-0 as an emergency. Resolution 59, 2021.
A resolution authorizing the city to donate certain personal property owned by the city of Twinsburg and no longer needed for municipal purposes to Summit County Metro SWAT.
Okay, I make a motion to adopt Resolution 59, 2021. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Barr, any discussion? Okay, Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 59, 2021 passes 7-0. We have Ordinance 60, 2021.
An ordinance accepting the bid of Greenleaf Group Incorporated for the 2021 tree planting program and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place Ordinance 60, 2021 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Can I have a second?
Second.
I'll yield. To Mrs. Stoffer.
No, that was Mrs. Levy.
Mrs. Lash.
Sorry, I was looking down.
Okay. All right, we have a second. This is, as we mentioned earlier, this ordinance is to award the bid for the 2021 tree planting program to Greenleaf Corporation in the amount of $73,902. It includes both the 2021 fall planting as well as the 2022 planting, totaling over 200 trees. And the reason for the emergency is that they need to go out to these nurseries and tag these trees prior to it being too late to go ahead and tag and have those trees pulled for planting. Any other discussion?
Did someone have the list on that? Because I believe in the Whispering Woods where I'm going tomorrow, some of the trees are designated for there.
Yeah, Amy has the list. You
She
can
has
get
the
that
list,
from
okay.
her. Somebody asked that earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll get it.
Is she gonna
Yeah,
send
we'll get
You're
it
gonna send it to
tomorrow.
everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you need it for your meeting tomorrow, you may want to get a hold of somebody.
I actually already have it. I have it on my list to
All right,
follow up
Shannon will
tomorrow.
get
So.
that to you then.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 60, 2021 as an emergency.
I'll second.
Mrs. Stoffer seconds. Any further discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 60, 2021 passes 7-0 as an emergency. We have ordinance 63, 2021.
Resolution
I'm sorry, resolution 61, 2021.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Airgas USA LLC to provide tax incentives under the terms and conditions of the Twinsburg Occupancy Program.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 60, 2021. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. This is, it's a resolution for a top agreement with Airgas USA LLC. The initial staff will move soon with additional time, full-timers coming in a year or so. It will be for 7 years. Anybody have any further discussion on that? Anybody want to say anything else on it? Okay, Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 61, 2021 passes 7-0. We have ordinance 63, 2021.
An ordinance authorizing the lease of 2 used vehicles through Kempthorne Incorporated for use by the police department and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 63, 2021 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Okay, now we have I'm making a motion to adopt ordinance 63, 2021 as an emergency. Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any further discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 63, 2021 passes as an emergency, 7-0. All right, unfinished new business miscellaneous. Mrs. Labby, anything?
Just that I'm meeting with the homeowners. I asked Chris also today, there was a resident called me, there is no longer a speed limit sign when you're going from 82 to Ravenna, that cut-through road to Twin Hills Parkway.
Oh.
So I did go see, there was no sign there. There used to be a sign, I had talked to Amy, it is on Google Earth, but it's no longer there. So I talked to Chris tonight and see if we can get a sign in place there, because I guess some of the speeds are getting a little high during peak times after school or after work.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Stoffer.
I went to the Rector Park last week. Mrs. Bucci Cross did my job there. And I have to say that Jennifer and her crew, they have done an amazing job. It was so nice to see how hard they all work and how well they all work together. And it was just, I really had a really good time. So I'd like to thank our Parks and Rec Department, all the people involved in that, and just really let them know, I do appreciate everything they've done. Also, those additional classes, it's genius for years. We've been talking about Parks and Rec and that age group that doesn't really have a whole lot to offer, once they hit that middle school age where they're too old to do one thing, too young for the other. So I really appreciate her going through that, and I'll be sure to contact her and tell her myself, but I wanted to let the public know that these are opportunities that have been in the works for many years, and it's just nice to see that there's somebody, taking the reign to do that. I also wanted to welcome back all of the new students in Twinsburg schools. I know it's been a different year, Ken, but it's nice to see them all back and support. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Barr.
Just a couple quickies. I'd like to congratulate our newest members of the Twinsburg Fire Department, including our cadets, full-time and part-time members. It's great to see great to see such a outpouring of interest for public safety and all safety services right now. I know a lot of departments are having a hard time finding people, and the fact that people want to work in Twinsburg speaks volumes. Chief, to your department, and to Chief Noga for his. So it's wonderful to see that, and just a shout out to everybody for what you guys do. I'd like to again congratulate Sarah on arguably running the finest outdoor bar ever. The Butchie Bar is pretty spectacular. You're gonna give her a blush over there, but she did a great job at Rock the Park, so big shout out there. Lastly, again, to echo what Mrs. Stauffer said, I think these etiquette classes are terrific. I plan on speaking to Mrs. Bettinson to see if my children can be enrolled permanently. And that financial literacy thing too, I think they're just gonna attend continuously until I have to stop writing checks. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to welcome council back from our summer break. It was a nice break, and I look forward to working with everybody here, mayor and all the administration for the rest of this year. I'm sure we're going to have a successful second half. So I look forward to that, and nice to see all of you again. Our next city council meeting will be September 14th at 7 o'clock right here in the council chambers. And that's all I have, Mr. Perry.
I don't have anything to say. Thank you.
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Bell.
Thank you. Yeah, just a couple quick things. Like Mrs. Labby, I really would like to thank Mrs. Moore and Mr. Campbell. The railroad crossing on Glenwood Drive is really bumpy. And I asked them if they would put up a sign, and they did, so it now says rough crossing. I'm also thrilled to say that next summer, the same way that the two railroad crossings on the other end of town, that one as well as the one on 91 are going to be addressed as well. So I'm really happy for that. I would recommend that residents go slow over it because the one on Glenwood is a bit bumpy. Also had the opportunity to play in the Twinsburg Chamber of Commerce golf outing on Friday the 13th with Mary Ace, Mr. Fury, and Mr. Post. The rain did hold out for us, and it was an outstanding event. I just wanted to thank all the members of the chamber that put that on. It was an outstanding event. Nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor.
Yeah, nothing further from me this evening. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Maestas.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, Shannon.
Nothing, thank you.
Mrs. Blue Cross. And final words of wisdom for us?
Sure. I'll say congratulations to Jen and her team. It was really impressive to see how those shows get put on, and every department gets out there and helps out, and it's great to see. And congratulations again to Chief Noga. We're really going to miss him around that department head table. He picks us up, and we appreciate him.
Thank you. Okay, hearing nothing else at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we enter into an executive session to discuss matters relating to the Ohio Revised Code, number 121.22 G1 personnel. May I have a second?
No second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion? Call roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby? Yes. Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, we will go on to an executive session. Back in